We're going to go over 3.10, 3, 6, 8, and 9. And so what you're really doing here, and I need to make this a tad bigger, what we're really doing here is we're trying to simplify it. And it says divide out all the common factors and assume no denominator equals to 0. That's important. Just why, Ms. Johnson, why is that important for them to say that? You can't divide by 0. Okay, that's like a rule that needs to go in your head. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for common factors that exist on the top and the bottom. And the way that I show my students that why this works is because really you're just you're multiplying by ones, right? So here, the way I'm going to show you is I notice that there's a 7 and a 7 on top and bottom. So I'm going to draw a 1 around those 7. So that's a 1. So that's like 1. And you're like, hey, Ms. Johnson, I also see 1s on that A. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me draw 1 around there too. It's going to get a little squashed, but that's okay. So there's another 1. And B squared over B squared, Ms. Johnson, does that count as a 1 too? And I say, yes, that counts as a 1. So there's my 1. So in reality here, I see this as 1 times 1 times 1, which is just 1. Now I can make a 1 as long as the top number and the bottom number are the same. Because look, 7 divided by 7, what is that? That's 1, right? So all I'm doing is I'm looking for common factors on the numerator and the denominator and making them 1s. That's it. So looking at number 6, do you see any common factors of numerators and denominators? And you're like, yeah, that 2x minus 11. Okay, yes, as 2x minus 11, no, as not 2x and negative 11. This guy comes as a complete package. So I'm going to write them as a complete package, as in 2x minus 11 divided by 2x minus 11 is a 1. And you're like, Ms. Johnson, that's a really big 1. Yes, it's a really big 1. But nonetheless, it's the same thing divided by the same thing, which equals to 1. As long as it's not 0 on the denominator, you're fine. So our answer here is everybody who's left over, right? So some of you are like, well, Ms. Johnson, what about that 3x and 3x? So the answer is no. And the reason why is because of that plus and that minus. So it's not a factor if you're adding it to something else. That's something completely different. A factor is something times something, not something plus something. So, Ms. Johnson, then what's my answer? My answer is 3x plus 17 divided by 3x minus 5. Okay. Number 7 is very, very similar. Oh, we're not doing number 7, sorry, number 8. So we're looking for common factors. So you're like, oh, the 6x minus 5s? Yes. The x minus 1s? Yes. The 2x plus 7s? Yes. What about the 3x and the x? No, because those aren't common, but the x's are. So you're saying I can make a 1, and I'll use highlighter. This is a 1, this is a 1, this is a 1, and I'm going to make a tiny little 1 for my x's here, and that's a 1. So the only thing that I see left, oh, it needs to catch up. The only thing that I see left over is this 3. Oh, it's really not catching up. Give me a second here, guys. Okay, there it goes. So as you can see, I have a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here, and then this 1 as well. So the only thing that didn't have a partner was just that 3. So I'm going to write my answer as just 3. So it says, why is it so important that the instructions say to assume that the no denominator equals to 0? And I said that in the very beginning. It's because you can't divide by 0. Now, see, like division makes sense like this, right? Like 4 divided by 2, or even 7 divided by 7. 7 divided by 7, if I have 7 apples and I have 7 people, how many apples does each person get? It's 1. But 7 divided by 0 makes no sense. Watch. If I had 7 apples and no people, how many apples does each person get? Wait, there's no people, so that the question doesn't make sense. So that's the reason why you cannot divide by 0, because right? I'm thinking about 7. So if you think about one more thing that I want to say is, if you think about 7 divided by 7 equals to 1, it also means that 7 times 1 equals, to 7. right? And if I tried to do that same thought with 7 divided by 0, that's saying 0 times what number gives me 7? 0 times what number gives me 7? And that doesn't make sense, right? Because 0 times anything is always going to give me 0. So this is why you can't divide by 0. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.